Hey guys, HH Aviation here. Welcome to another part of the Flybywire how-to series. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting up the Flybywire A32NX with ground power and without ground power, because I know some airports in the sim don't have it, so I'm going to be teaching you how to do both of them. So let's start off. As you can see, we're spawned in at Luton Airport, so ground power will be first. There'll be timestamped down below anyways. I want to quickly apologise about my voice. I've not been feeling the best, so apologies about that. England getting as far as they have in the Euros is apparently getting to my voice, or I'm just not well. I'm not too sure. Bit of both, I suppose. So, as you can see, we're now in the cockpit of the A32NX. Amazing aircraft this is. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Control 8, and this will take you up to the overhead panel. What we're going to do is we're going to head into the centre of the overhead panel where it says 1 bat 2, and we're going to click battery master 1 on, wait for that to fire up, and then battery master 2 on. Perfect. Now for realism, I'm going to connect the external power unit. You don't have to, you can just click external power, but I'm going to suggest what to do for realism purposes. So we're going to load up the fly pad. You're then going to head over to ground, click external power. Then if you go on the outside, you should see something like this. I have detailed textures, so it may look like a little van. We'll pull up, and then it will do its little thing. And if we come around to the front of the aircraft, you'll see in the minute it will have like a little wire that attaches. Any second now. There you go, perfect. The external power is now officially connected to the aircraft, or I believe its actual name is ground power. So then you're going to go back up here, Control 8, and you're going to click turn on. Now, perfect. As you can see, majority of the systems are firing up, as you can hear. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the RRS now. Number 1 to nav. Number 2 to nav. Number 3 to nav. We're then going to go cruise supply, oxygen, on. Arm the emergency lights in the bottom left. Sorry, correction, right. No smoking, on. Seatbelts on or off, depending whether if you have an external passenger thing automating it. But for the purpose of this video, we'll do seatbelts on. Strobe set to auto. Beacon lights do not come on yet. If you're flying at night time, turn on nav and logo lights, just like that. And then we're gonna start up the APU master switch. So turn on APU master switch, start. So then when we need the APU bleed, we'll be able to find out. So I recommend then coming back down, so Control 8 brings you all the way down here, because that's our overhead panel done. Turn up the little dials on your screens, makes it a lot easier to see. As you can see, there's 2 here in the middle and 2 on the left of the ND and the PFD. Obviously you can choose a brightness of your own, and we can go from there. Alright, so there's also a little knob up here. Do that, brightens up all of these, and then this will brighten up the outside of all of these here, which is needed at night time. So then you want to make sure both your flight directors are on. As you can see, mine are already on, they come on automatically. So flight director, let's say they was off, you'd go flight director 1, flight director 2. Perfect. That's now your speed and managed heading, as well as your altitude. Now we're going to come over to the left. And you see the little company bit on your fly pad that we recently turned on. We're going to enter our SimBrief username. If you do not have a SimBrief, then I recommend you make a SimBrief account. really helps with this startup, because it loads in all your flight plan and everything like that automatically, and that's what I'm going to be doing for the purpose of this video. Once you've entered your SimBrief username, you're now going to go dashboard, click from SimBrief, and you can see our flight plan, London Luton to Jersey, as Flybywire 123. Now, QNH. QNH is labelled in both these airports in the information section. So you got wind, precipitation, temperature, and then same again down the bottom at Jersey. QNH, wind, precipitation, temperature. So the QNH is 995. If you're not on any online ATC networks, then and they don't have their own individual QNH, because sometimes they do, just it only really differs by like 1 or 2. QNH 995. So we're going to head over here. As you can see, the QNH button here, we're going to decrease biometric pressure to 0.995. Then click B on your keyboard once, it'll take you back up. We're then going to go back down to 0.995. Perfect, QNH set. Now we're going to head down to our MCDU. You should be on the page like this. If not, click here, MCDU menu. We're then going to go ATSU, AOC menu, init press in the top left, and then init data request. As you can see, it's loading in our flight plan. We then go back, click in AOC menu, performance, weight and balance, refuel, and that will put the amount of fuel that SimBrief has told you to use. And then if you click this little arrow here, this one right here, facing right, takes you to payload. Click payload load, and then that will load the payload as well. Then after you've done that, you're going to click the little init button and go init request. And as you can see, it loads up your cruising altitude, your cost index, your flight number, from and to, and then go IRS init, click that, and align on ref. Then you're going to click return, right here in the bottom left, and you're going to click the arrow down on the little keypads that faces left. That will take you to the init page, the fuel page. For this top right, the CFW/ZFWCG, click it once. In the bottom of the screen, you'll see it will automatically give you something. Click it again to throw it in. Then you're going to look at your fuel on board. Mine's 4840, so I'm going to put 4.84 in my block fuel, so 4.84, put it in there, and as you can see, it will use estimations of how much fuel to use for each stage of the flight. For example, final 0.2, 0.9 correction, taxi 0.2, everything like that. Perfect. So we're then going to go flight plan, and as you can see, our route should all be in. Now to test that route, what we're going to do is we're going to click V on the keyboard. It brings up the VFR map, so just have a little scroll through, double check that everything's okay. Nice little short flight, so not much to look at, but everything works fine. You're then going to go EGGW, plug in your departure. If you're on an ATC network, you'll need to plug in a departure. So runway 25 is active at Luton at the moment, so we're going to click 25. On SimBrief, it gave me the capped for Bravo departure. I'll put a photo on screen circling where I can find that. So I'm going to click capped for Bravo. And then I'm going to click insert. And then if I click V again, as you can see, my departure is now loaded in. Still double check that everything's going okay, and yes it is. Perfect. So now that that is done, you're going to go performance, flaps, temperature, trans altitude, V speeds. So flaps generally is flaps 1 for majority of the airports, with the alternative of flaps 2 to flaps 3. Make sure to double check that. So for Luton it's flaps 1, so I'm going to put in my flaps 1. Done. Flex temp. If you have a flex temp calculator or know how to work it out, then feel free to use it. I don't, so I'm going to go 67. It works pretty much every time. I don't have any issues. Trans altitude. I'm in London at the moment, at Luton, so that is 6,000. To find this out, check your charts. ChartFox, Navigraph, recommend Navigraph. ChartFox is a free version of charts. Doesn't have every airport, but it does the job. Trans altitude. That pretty much tells you when you need to switch your QNH up here to standard. So V1, VR, V2, all you do for that, click that in the top left, it brings you up to speed, put it in. VR, same again, and V2, same again, and that is done. You can then go put it on the direction, anything you want really, and as you can see the RRS aligns in 1 minute. We are ready after that happens to push back. So I will see you once that's aligned. Okay, so as you can see the RRS is aligned. If I click the range up here and increase it, you can see my flight plan loads in and it's all there. Brilliant. It will all be there automatically, so if you're doing a long flight, don't expect it to show at 320 miles. But you get the gist. So we're ready to push back now, but before we can push back we need to do some stuff on the overhead panel. So remember from earlier, control 8. As you can see, fuel pumps are off, APU bleed is off. So our passengers would have been loaded now, so beacon light on. If you're in America, wing lights go on under 10,000 feet as well. We're not, so we're not going to do that. We're not going to start up the APU bleed, but before we do that we need to disconnect the external power after. So we're going to start the APU bleed, wait 5 seconds, fuel pumps on. Okay, so external power, we now need to disconnect that. So if we go back over to the Flybywire tablet, sorry, mind blank, click the external power button. As you can see, external power backed off, so now we go back, not there, we go back, turn external power off. That's now sorted. So we're now ready. Once the APU, give it a little second to do its thing, like gets running and you're happy with it, we're going to click control 8. We're ready to push back. So pushing back, make sure your throttles are idle. If you have the TCAA throttles, amazing. Make sure you calibrate them. Video coming out soon. Okay, so we're ready to push back. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over here and we're going to call in the tug. If I look on the outside, the tug is not here at Luton today unfortunately, but you felt the aircraft jolt, it's here. So parking brake off in the middle here. Make sure your rudder trim is at 00. Lock the doors and you can switch the engine to ignition to start, so that will be all ready to start up. Let's push back. ATC has told us to push back facing over here, so we're facing down so we can go straight towards the runway, which is fine. So we're gonna click push back, and as you can see the aircraft is starting to push back, which is amazing. Ignore what I'm doing right there. So as you can see the aircraft starting to push back, pushing back from the stand, and if you have self-loading cargo, it will, or any other additions, it may go, you are clear to start the engines. So start up engine 2, flick that on. I've currently got my TCA throttles with them on, so I need to turn those off quickly. So for the purpose of this video, engine 2, there you go, you can now start it up. Flick on engine 2. We're going to turn the aircraft to the left using the little arrows. So for the purpose of the video, it said engine 2 start. So we're starting up engine 2. As you can see on the ND screen, engine 2 is firing up. The N2 is rising. We're looking good. We're also focusing on the pushback, making sure that it's okay. Now we've overextended this pushback here. So to stop the pushback, we're just going to click halt pushback. Click tug. That will stop the tug. We're then going to throw the parking brake on and you'll be good to go there. So now we wait for engine 2 to fire up and then we can flick on engine 1. While we wait, back up to the overhead panel, Control 8, and you click taxi. Taxi lights are then on. You can then set your flaps. So go here, lift up the flaps, bring it back, position 1, because that's what we had for takeoff. Then I'm going to arm the spoilers, just lift up that. I love that sound of the hydraulics. We're then going to flick on engine 1, because engine 2 is available. While we're here, we can do a few more added steps, like putting in your initial climb. Mine at Luton is 5,000. Speed and headings and manage, nice. QNH, good. You put your auto brake to max for takeoff. In case you have like a rejected takeoff, then it can brake at the max, which is perfect. Okay, so ground spoilers are armed, parking brake is on, wind shear off. So we'll put the wind shear on, and we'll be good to go on that front. And then once engine 1 has fired up, this is pretty much how you start up the fly-by-wire aircraft. Then all you'll do is taxi to the gate, to the runway, ready to take off, get on your adventure, and you're all good. And obviously, when you're taking off, click Control 8, make sure you got your runway lights on. So your landing lights, your runway lights on if it's nighttime, and your nose set to take off, just for the future. Hey guys, so welcome to part 2 of the how to set up the fly-by-wire aircraft. This is without ground power now, so we're spawned in at Bournemouth Airport. As you can see, there's no ground vehicles, well actually, to be fair, there is over there. I think that's like de-icing or something. Anyways, taking our attention back to the fly-by-wire aircraft. Yeah, as you can see, there's no ground vehicles around here. Not sure if it's because the default scenery is bad, so it just doesn't spawn them in, or because it just doesn't want to spawn them in. So let's head into the aircraft and let's show you what you would do without ground power. So remember, Control 8 to go to the overhead panel. Now you do battery 1 and battery 2. Now obviously normally you do external power, it's unavailable. So as you can see, if as much as I click it, it doesn't happen. So what you do is you go turn on APU switch, APU starter, and you let these two things just do their thing. Why it does that until it says available on here. You can't really do much on the overhead panel. So we're going to click arm. We're going to turn the rest of the no smoking lights on and the seatbelt signs. Might as well, while we wait for that, we click Control 8 again, bring us back down here. If we go over to here to the fly pad, we'll fly up the fly pad while we wait for the APU to be available. Because pretty much what we're going to do is, instead of using external power now, we're going to use APU bleed. So put in your SimBrave username. As you can see, there's mine, nice and in. Then what you want to do is, once you've done that, as you can see, Bournemouth to Liverpool. Okay, so APU's now become available. Look, everything's now firing up. So what we're going to do is make sure your strobes are set to auto, because I know with some letters it messes up the overhead panel. We're now going to go back to our default setup, so that'll be crew supply on. Line up the IRSs, IR1, IR2, IR3. Boom, they're all done. strobes are set to auto. Never no-go lights on if you're at night time or like it's dark. And if you're in America, wing lights on under 10,000. So we'll put our never no-go lights on for the purpose of the video. Let's have a look. Let's have a look outside the airfield. Sorry, that's really loud. I do apologise. So as you can see, clear skies. So we're not going to be needing any APU. Don't know what I'm waffling about. We're not going to be needing any anti-ice today, so we'll be all good. So now that we've double checked the overhead panel and everything like that, what we're going to do is everything on the overhead panel looks okay. We're going to head back down to the bottom and increase the ND and the PFD brightness to whatever percent you want, whatever makes it look easier. I'll go 100% just because then I can see it. It's nice and clear. Same as before, I'm going to do it for the purpose of the video. Flight directors on. 1, 2. Perfect. I'm going to increase the FD display brightness just so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to set my initial to 6,000. Increase the lighting brightness on the edge of these, as you can see they're starting to light up. Now, while I quickly go head around the cockpit and increase the ECAMs and everything's brightness, we're going to have a look at the left. Now, if you didn't see the first bit, then I'll show you here, because you might have to skip forward to this bit. QNH is the MB, so we're at 1001. If you're on an ATC network like VATSIM or IVAO, they may have their own QNH, and by that I mean it may differ by 1 or 2, so just see what there says on the ATIS. Wind, 280 at 14. Temperature, 18. Precipitation, 12 degrees. I believe that's precipitation. If it's not, I've made a fool of myself, but you get what I mean. QNH here, 996. Wind, 280 at 15. Temperature, 19. So, the QNH for the airport we're at now, Bournemouth, is 1001. So we're going to go up here to QNH. Decrease biometric pressure. 1001. Click B. And then go back to 1001. That's now set. So, as you can see, IRR aligning in 7 minutes. So, let's head down to the MCDU menu. Again, we're back. MCDU menu, click it if you've not already on it. You should be already on it. ATSU, AOC menu, and init press. Init data request, AOC menu, performance weight and balance, refuel, and then click this arrow facing right, and payload, click load. Perfect, done. We now go to init, from, to, you know, all that business. Init request, that will all load in. IRS, init, IRS, you know how it be. And then what we're going to do is we're going to then go on the left arrow, ZFW, ZFCG. We're then going to go block, have a look at our block fuel, 4940, so we'll be 4.94. Sorry, 4.94, what am I saying? Right, okay, so that's all done. There's our fuel predictions. Now, flight plan. Everything looks all good, but to double check it, we're going to click V on our keyboard. That's what it's defaultly set to. Bring up the VFR map. Let's have a look at our flight plan. Everything looks okay, so we're good there. But we need to plug in our departure. So this is where you look at SimBrief, and I recommend using SimBrief if you don't already. Look at your departure, and I'll show you for this one as well. You click SAM, because that's my departure. To look at yours first though, because it may be a different runway, it may be a different thing. Look at yours, don't go off what I've done. You need to double check your flight plan, and I will put pictures on the screen of where it will show. So there you go, our departure has been plugged in. So if we go all the way back down, as you can see, our departure has been plugged in. We go up and then all the way up, all the way into Liverpool. Obviously I've not planned our arrival yet or plugged it in because we're nowhere near it. We're 208 miles away. Right, so that has been all done. The MCDU menu now needs to go to performance. You need to go 6,000 is pretty much the trans altitude in the UK for London and other major areas. Check charts though. Chartfox is good. Navigraph is really good. But however, Navigraph is not free. Chartfox is. Check your charts. Flaps on for this airport. You will have to double check your own airport. Flex temp 67. I don't have a flex temp calc anymore, but if you do, just use it. V1, you click it, it goes up. Perfect. V2 is not being done yet. VR, sorry. 132. V2, perfect. 136. So, as you can see, that's all done now. That is all ready to go, ready to, push back. IR aligns in 4 minutes. So we will wait for that to align and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so as you can see, we're spawned in. IRS is aligned, everything's good to go. We are ready to push back. So, to get ourselves ready for pushback, what we need to do is Control 8, head up to the overhead panel. We're now going to put beacon lights on because all our passengers would have been boarded. Again, as you can see in the video, wing light, it's not on. We're not in America, but if you are, wing light on. We're going to have a little look again at the surrounding sky. No change in weather. We're not needing the anti-ice. Okay, so APU bleed on. And as you can hear, it will start firing up. TK pumps. 1 and 2 on. Pump 1, pump 2. Okay. Yeah. Fuel pumps on. That's what I meant to say. Right, so Control 8 again. Overhead panels all done. That's all ready to go. Now, let's imagine I've pushed back. Actually, no. Let's not imagine. Let's push back. So, to push back, we're going to call a tug. Tug's connected. Flaps will be sorted once we've pushed back. So, let's put our engine in this middle by the... Make sure they're at idle first. And if you have TCA throttle quadrant, make sure you calibrate the throttles. I'll have a video coming out on that soon. So, engine to ignition for start. Perfect. Now let's push back. So we're going to push back and then we're going to turn. As you can see, we're now turning, but we're turning very slowly because we've got to take the parking brake off. So there you go, parking brake on. Off, sorry. Lock the cockpit door, and as you can see, we're now turning. This is the taxiway. Honestly, I have no clue where I'm going around Bournemouth. Charts help, but this airport is so poorly designed. Okay, so now we're going to stop the pushback because we're lined up with the taxiway. Disconnect the tug. Dashboard, get that all ready to go. We're now going to turn on engine 2. Engine 2 is on. As you can see, it's firing up. Why engine 2 fires up, we'll put the flaps in the flap 1 position because that's what we're using for takeoff. Arm our spoilers. Max auto brake once the engines are fired up. Obviously getting ahead of myself. Wind shear, turn it up like that. So when you do takeoff config, goes a lot better. So as you can see, engine 2 is riling up. Guys, I'm not sure if that's actually a word. Very sorry. But yeah, so engine 2's roaring. There we go, we'll do that one. Engine 2 is roaring. As you can see, Flybywire A32NX, we're sat there ready to taxi, we're ready to go. Let's get ourselves ready for taxi, shall we? Overhead panel while the engines are firing up, Control 8. Taxi lights on. There we go, ready for taxi. Now, engine 2 available. That's perfect. Engine 1 up. Listen to that sound. It's just amazing. It gets me every time. It just sounds like really, I don't know. It just sounds so good. I love it. Right. Okay. So engine 1 is riling up. We've gone with that word again. You know how it be. But why I just, yeah, I want to make sure that you're all okay. Let me know in the comments. Anything you want me to do, any tutorials you want me to do, reviews, anything like that, let me know, okay? And it will happen. So, engine 1 roaring up. It's amazing, it's amazing. Once engine 1's roared up, we will switch the engines to norm and you'll be ready for taxi. That's my part done. The rest is with you guys. So, any second now, boom, available. So, switch engines to norm. Back to the overhead panel for the last time. APU bleed off, master switch off, and you're ready to go. That's you ready to taxi, ready to go. That's been the Flybywire startup. Thank you all for watching so much. Videos and live streams, especially live streams, should be happening. Not sure about videos, just my voice. I'm on recovery at the moment for feeling relatively rough. I still feel quite rough, so I'll see you all in the next one. This has been HH Aviation. Thank you all for watching. I really hope this managed to help, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.